Hey, are you listening to Unab on air right now? If not, what are you waiting for?
A new program has arrived on unabradio.com to live the English language.
Are you listening to Unab on air right now?
Unab on Air will bring you news, interviews, and the best music for your Thursday afternoon. Join us at unabradio.com and enjoy the Unab on Air experience. News, interviews, and the best music for your Thursday afternoon.
Ready? Okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Very good.
Do you remember these two guys from the Un Libro festival?
Yes, I do.
You remember their names?
Toby.
And?
I have a Spanish name.
I don't remember it.
Leonor.
Leonor. Is Leonor or Leonor?
Well, in English, like an English version is like Leonor, like with the O much more like pronounced.
Okay,
but
okay.
here it's Leonor, no?
Like no, yeah, in Spanish is Leonor.
Sí,
Yes.
Leonor.
It's not Eleanor, it's Leonor.
Sí.
Oh, okay.
You have the R very expressive here in Spanish.
Yeah.
Leonor.
Our flatmate always says that we overpronounce our R's, like our R's. We go
Yeah.
all
It's
the
too
time.
difficult.
No.
Roberto.
It's that we pronounce it too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The R.
Yeah.
Especially names, Pedro,
Pedro.
Roberto.
Robert.
But we also live in La Aurora, which is really, really difficult to say. So
Aurora?
when people are like, but they're like, oh, where do you live? And I'm just like, I cannot say it.
You-
So La Aurora. It's really difficult.
Okay, so today we are going to talk about exams.
Okay.
Why? Because in the university, in the language department, we are applying some exams, the midterm exam to the students. And at Unab, we have two sessions. One session is online session. They apply for the exam. They take the exam based on a computer or based on a document. And on the second session, they have a speaking session.
Okay.
Right? So before that, talking about that, I heard that you were in a beautiful city in Colombia.
Yeah.
Can you tell us where have you been, or where were you? Where were you last weekend?
We not last weekend, the weekend before, we were in Medellin.
Medellin.
And it was really interesting for us to learn about the story and the transformation that has happened to Medellin. And we went on a walking tour, and there was a guide from the city, from Medellin, and he told us about his experiences and his life growing up during the period of violence, but how they've built loads of amazing schools and libraries in the really deprived areas, and it's now transformed completely into a beautiful city where loads of tourists come. There's so much life. It felt very peaceful, and it had a very good atmosphere, very lively, very full of life and full of pride, I think.
In Colombia, we have names for the cities. In Bucaramanga, the name of the city is Ciudad de los Parques. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know the name for Medellin?
I don't know, actually.
You know the name?
Yes.
Which one?
Ciudad de las Flores.
Yeah, and there is a
of
second name.
Which one?
La Tacita de Plata.
I don't know. I didn't know that.
Because it used to be a very clean city.
Okay.
Not anymore. But used to be. That's why the name Tacita de Plata is something that is very, very, very clean.
Okay.
Right? What do you do there?
So like Leonor said, we went on a walking tour, which was really, really insightful. I feel very fortunate that we both enjoy walking tours. I've gone on holiday or vacation with people who are like, do not want to learn anything about the place, and it's really difficult because you're like, I really want to learn, and they're like, I just want to go to the beach, and so
Parties and
go to parties. So I'm really glad that we both wanted to learn about the culture. We did that. We also had a day trip to Guatapé. We climbed La Piedra de Peñol, which was really, really cool.
Did you?
Yeah, it was, and
How long did it take to do that?
it wasn't too
I have a
bad.
record for myself. I've been there 3 times, and I have a personal record on the second time I read.
What's the personal record?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. I think we did it in 9. So. No, it
come
took us
on.
like, I
Come
think
on.
like 20, 25, half an hour.
But we were taking photos as we were going
Yeah.
up, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you take the helicopter?
We did not.
Is
no.
that a helicopter ride? Have you?
No.
No, I have never been there.
No?
No.
You must go. It's
my
so nice.
my parents always make like a joke about it because it's like I will say like I want to go to Medellin because I have never been there, and my mom says like you have been there when you were on my belly, and I'm like I don't remember that.
My mother
There is
says she says the same to me about New York.
Ah,
Like, I
okay.
can't remember New York.
Yes.
I wasn't alive.
and she like took all the stairs when she was pregnant.
Yeah?
Yeah, and it's like I was making exercise for you, so it's funny.
There's a common activity when you're taking the exams here at Unab, and it's tell your friend what to do in a specific city. So we are going to recreate that part of the exam. Actually, it's the writing. She has never been there. You were there. So what things she has to do there?
In Medellin, okay. So in Medellin, first you should take a walking tour to learn about the history of the city and to know, to get some recommendations, because at the end of the tour, the guide gave us lots of recommendations for restaurants, for places to go, for things to see. For example, you can go to a football tournament, like a football game.
Yeah.
That's a big thing to do in Medellin because Millonarios, they're one of the best clubs in Colombia, aren't they?
Okay. we can have a long conversation about
And then I think the next day you should go to Guatafe, and you should climb La Piedra de Peñol and get amazing views of the city. After that, you should walk through the streets of Guatape, and then you should go on a boat ride. We did not get the opportunity to go on the boat ride because it was too late.
too many people.
No, we left at 6 and the police told us we had to turn around. So we went on the boat for about 4 minutes and then we came back. So yeah, very short trip.
So that's what you have
Yeah,
to do.
I'm taking notes on my mind.
Yeah. And what about you? Do you have any specific thing? I mean, I got a question. Walking tour, is it actually walking?
A little.
Yeah, I think so. For the most part, you will be walking through different locations. So it's like we would say you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You're learning about the country and you're getting a bit of exercise as well, which is really
All
nice.
right. I don't like walking at all.
Ah,
I do
no.
love
maybe not.
walking,
Maybe not for
yeah.
you. You love walking.
Yeah, I love
Well, it's
walking.
perfect
No,
for
I
you.
don't.
And did you saw like the graffitis and all that?
We did. So when we went to Comuna 13, we saw all of the amazing graffiti. It's very interesting. I come from, well, where I went to university in England has a very famous graffiti artist. So I went to Bristol University. So Banksy comes from there.
Yeah.
So for me, I think I really appreciate, because there's the discussion around graffiti is like, is it art? Is it vandalism?
Is
you
it?
know?
Is it art?
To me, I think when it's really well done, it can be
Yeah.
art. When it's just someone's name, it's kind of ruins a nice wall. But when it's
Yeah.
something beautiful, like in Medellin, it was amazing to walk through and see all this like really creative artworks.
But to be the devil's advocate who decides if it's pretty or not, because someone from La Alcaldía could say, oh, it's horrible, I don't like Comuna 13, but the tourists love it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
very beautiful.
Yeah.
And
So-
young people love it too.
Yeah.
And the people that live there is like part of them, you know, like of their culture and all that. So it's very important. I think it's very like precious,
Yeah.
and to not just like ruin that, like drop that kind of culture just because it's vandalism or it's dangerous or whatever thing like that, because it is not. I mean, most of the guys that make that kind of art, they are like maybe really humble people, but they love art, and that's like their way of express themselves. So I think it's very important to keep that.
Last time I was there, we in that section of city, we paid for it was a lady. Yeah, it was a lady who actually narrated all the story behind those steps and behind those constructions over there. And you can appreciate, as a Colombian, you appreciate how we can transform all the violence in a specific point of history into such a beautiful and colorful thing, which is that part of the city. It's a very colorful thing, full of culture, and actually is, in my opinion, is one of the most beautiful things to do there, to visit that and talk to the people. Not only go there and buy a t-shirt and get some drinks and watch the guys dancing and stuff, but talking to the people, people around that attraction. They tell you things about those old times, and it's a very dramatic thing, but actually it's a very beautiful thing to see the transformation of the city.
I think that was what we found really special about Medellin, was the pride that people had in being from the city, being paisa. Just this sense of identity, which is really interesting. And we saw it with our tour guide. He was very for us it's kind of like it was so violent and so dangerous. Like, why are you so proud of this? And it's like, well, it's because of the transformation of the city and the optimism people have, even when life has not been kind to the city, not been kind to them. The fact that they can keep going, which is really, really impressive. It's very difficult, I think, for us, to understand what it's like to have that kind of conflict in your city.
And I think that actually Medellin is like, I mean, the people from there is probably the most like proud people from the entire country.
From the origin, yeah.
They are really, really proud of their city. I mean, sometimes here in Bucaramanga, people is like, we don't have anything here. They're so boring, whatever. But there, I mean, it doesn't matter who you ask. They're always going to tell you like, oh, you have to go there, you have to go this, you have to do this, you have to do that. I mean, they have like a huge kind of options, because they love their culture, they love every place they have. Maybe you go and it's like, okay, this is not that special, but for them it's like super special. They're super proud of that. It's very interesting.
And did you try a typical breakfast?
No, is that a bandeja paisa?
The typical breakfast is calentado.
Oh, calentado. Okay, what is a calentado?
It's beans, eggs, and how do you say arepa in English?
Just
Arepa.
Arepa.
We don't have
Arepa. Yeah, you roll it like in a taco and chocolate. That's it. Yeah. Did you try it?
With beans as well?
Yeah.
Interesting. No, we didn't try it, unfortunately. We also wanted to try arepa con chocolate and chocolate con queso.
Yeah.
Because to me, that seems like such a strange combination. Chocolate and cheese. Cheese is always a savoury thing in the UK, but here they put it in obleas, in so many sweet things.
But you try it?
No, unfortunately not, but next time we go.
And did you try the official drink?
What is the official drink?
Aguardiente.
Oh, of course.
Aguardiente. They have a special, a specific one, aguardiente antioqueño.
Oh, we didn't get the opportunity.
No?
We were quite, because we had such busy days. In the evenings, we were kind of like, we're just like tired. We want to go. And we had a friend who was in Medellin as well, and when we met up with him and his friends, it was very relaxed.
Because when you go to a typical restaurant and you ask for a typical lunch, they give you the typical bandeja paisa in a cup of aguardiente.
Oh wow!
So you
to
eat it
help
and
you digest the food.
Kinda. Maybe that's an excuse, but
yeah, that's what it is.
But you can try it here.
Oh yeah. Aguardiente antioqueño we have here.
Yeah, we have. You can go to.
We have a blue one. It's the best. No sugar.
No sugar. Sugar free. Healthy.
Okay, now talking about exams. What subject you remember? In what subject did you try the most difficult exam that you remember? It can be elementary, it can be high school.
Most difficult exam.
I'm going to give you an example. My most difficult exam was on high school. It was an math exam. I was totally sure that I was totally prepared, but I was not. and I realized that when I saw the result of the exam. When I got that 1 on the paper, I said, "What? I prepared for 100 and I got 1." That was my
That was the
worst
point for
exam.
learning.
Yeah. I remember the teacher. It was Thomas Carmelo Maradei. That was the name of the teacher. He gave me the exam and he says, "Good luck next year." What about you?
Did you do better the next year?
Yeah.
Did you get 100?
No.
Okay. I'm trying to think. I also did maths in my school, and I found mechanics really difficult. So I found like pure maths, okay, like normal, your basic arithmetics, algebra, that was fine. But mechanics, like the physical element, I found that quite difficult. But I still did okay. So I studied Arabic at university as well, and I think some of the exams, when you had to write yourself in Arabic, you had to make sure all of the characters were right and the spelling was correct. That was really difficult because in Arabic they don't write their vowels. So you have to remember them kind of in your head and not write them down.
Arabic? No, he's the first person I know with that skill. So can you write our names?
Yeah, I can definitely.
No, but at the end.
Yeah, at the end.
And the writing is like same here, like from.
No, it's from right to left.
Yeah.
From right to
So
left?
it's that way.
That's.
It's that way.
Wow.
And if you want to learn a new word, mahaba,
Mahaba.
perfect. That means hello.
Hello.
Mahaba.
Marhaba.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
I know a word. What about you? Difficult
Um,
experience on exam.
I would probably say the hardest exam I ever took was my German writing A-level exam. So in the UK we have different kinds of exams. So when you're 15 you do GCSEs, and you need to pass those to then be able to do what we call A-levels, and A-levels are the exams you do before university. So those are the grades which you get, which decide if you can go to certain universities. So obviously for us in the UK, there are more competitive universities and they have higher grade expectations. Then there's some universities who have less high grade expectations. So it depends on your level. And the idea is you go to a university that it is best for your level, so you won't find it too difficult or you won't find it too easy. And I had always done these practice exams before the exam and found them really, really easy because I've got family from Austria. I speak German at home, so it was like, this is fine. And they decided that year it was too easy for everyone. They were too many people were getting the best grade, so they changed it and they made it really, really difficult. And I'd never been so stressed in an exam. I had to take a little break to go to the bathroom, and I didn't. I just looked in the mirror and was like, "Oh my
What's
god,
going on?
What is going?" It was crazy. It was just like I basically was. I prepared for this to be, and I was like, this will be no problem whatsoever. I've done so many practice exams, so many practice papers. Every time I get like 90s to 100s, like absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And
that day came.
and then I got my and then like it wasn't like a nice surprise story where I did well in the end. I got the results and I was like, oh yeah, I did badly. Like it was just, they made it really, really different. I mean, it didn't matter in the end. I overall, because it's an average grade, my speaking grade was pretty high, so it all averaged out. But it was just like, oh my gosh, like really, really difficult.
Traumatic.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, but it's in the past. And it was a lesson.
How long ago? It was 5 years.
So
6
I
years.
was like 17 when I did this exam. So yeah, like 6 years ago. And
Wow.
Still in my brain.
Still have the day.
Yeah.
in
So
your mind.
the students have that exam trauma to look forward to. It never goes away, guys. It always sticks.
And what about you? Any difficult exam?
Yeah, I was really bad at physics too. I mean, really, really bad. I almost wasn't able to graduate because of that. But I remember a lot one exam and it was like a biology test, and it was really. I think it's funny now, but at that moment I was like, "What the fuck is that?" I mean,
You can say that word here.
okay, because we had to go to the like.
That's a good question. Can we say F? Can we curse here?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
We gotta ask Javier. Javier,
Can we curse?
can we
here?
curse here?
We have something.
Let's concentrate. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Can we curse here?
It's late.
Ah, okay. Yes. Yes. Good. Yes.
Yeah, so it was like we have to go to the library, and there our teacher put like a bunch of bones. I mean, like real bones.
Bones?
Yeah.
From
we have-
animals or
No,
human?
We had I mean, I don't know, but they look like real bones. I mean, and she put like she put it in different tables of the library, and she said like, okay, you have to go one by one, go and look at the bone and say which bone it is, what does it do? I mean, what is the function, and where it is when what.
Do you
part of
study
the bone.
medicine or something like that?
No, it was at school.
At school?
Yeah,
That's so difficult.
That's so difficult.
and I was like,
What did you do to that teacher? That's revenge.
No,
You
it
know?
was for everyone. It was for everyone, and it was so funny because I just got in the library and I watched the bone and I was like, looking at my body like, okay, where
Start touching like, is this one?
where
Is this
can
one?
this fit? Where can this fit? Because I have no idea. It was super difficult. I probably like miss it. I mean,
But biology, what grade? I mean,
like
for seniors?
yeah,
Ah, okay, okay.
but it still was super hard.
You remember the name of the teacher?
Her name was Maria Lucia.
That teacher hate you.
Yeah,
A lot.
we hated everyone.
Yeah. Can you imagine an exam like that at high school? But did you know the exam was going to be like that?
No, we didn't know. I mean, we knew we had a exam that day, but we were like at our classroom, like ready with our pencils to do the exam, like writing. And she was like, "Okay, let's go to the library." And we're like, "Why are we going to the library?" And then we saw like all that cemetery she built for us. It was crazy. Yeah.
I have a theory. You did something really bad to that person. And that person was looking for revenge.
No, she was really.
And she was like, what can I do that is legal to make them feel like afraid and at the same time disappointed?
to make them feel like idiots, probably.
Okay, now what we are talking about exams, what is the best recommendation you have for the students now that you are talking about English and you are having a conversation club and you know the kind of walls they have to climb to progress on the speaking? What recommendation do you have for them when they are facing an international? Well, it's not an international exam; it's an English exam.
I would say I think we both are advocates for practicing, like just coming to the conversation clubs, practicing your language. That's the most important thing. In a written exam, sometimes you get that time to relax a little bit, to think and think, okay, I know this word. It's not right there at the moment, but I know it. And then you can be like, okay, maybe I'll come back to it. But in a speaking exam, it's very different. And we've both studied languages, so we know how stressful the speaking exams can be. Like for my final year speaking exams at university, they were online, so I had to go on the computer. My hands were shaking so hard, it was like hard to type in the website and find everything, and it's crazy.
Matching the bones.
Yeah, exactly. I was too busy doing the biology exam. So we definitely can empathize with that feeling, and it can be very scary, especially when a word doesn't come to your head. But I think the most important thing is consistently practicing. The reason my speaking exams in my final year went well, and I was very proud of how I did, was because I practiced, and I went to like the equivalent of conversation clubs, but for our university. And so like when there were situations where I was like, I need a word. I think in my Spanish exam there was a really easy word. It was like medicine. I was talking about doctors and I didn't have the word, and instead of like sitting there in silence going, I've ruined this exam, I failed, I found a way around it. And the only way to be comfortable to do that is if you practice the language. You just speak and then you're like, oh, I can't remember the word, it's fine, I'll come back to it, and then you continue. So practice makes perfect, we would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
What about you?
I think during the actual exams, some students are really, really nervous, and they think it's better to just continue talking, and it doesn't matter what they're talking about, and they just continue and continue and continue. I think it's better to sometimes like take a breath, take a pause. It's okay. The teacher is looking for fluency, but it's okay to pause and take a breath every now and then, and to focus on what you actually want to say rather than speaking for the sake of speaking's sake. But practicing a little bit every day is so much better as well than practicing for like an hour at the end of the week. Or just before the exam. So like 5 minutes every day, if you're just speaking to yourself in your room, or you come to the conversation class, even if it's just for like 10-15 minutes, that will be so much better than trying to cram it all in right before the exam.
What I try to do when I have my students in front of me, because the conversation part is in pairs, I try to make them feel comfortable through humor, making jokes and stuff like that. So you can literally see how they relax, because they start like this and then just relax. The face, the expressions change a lot. But there are some students who when you start like trying to make them feel comfortable, like making jokes or making a comment or something, no matter if it is in Spanish or in English, they get more stressed, and I don't know why. I don't know why. I try to imagine that this is because they are so prepared, like giving some extra minutes to make the test longer, make them feel like more stressed. Maybe that's the point. So I don't know what to do. Have you ever had that sensation when you are getting ready for a test, and your teacher is trying to make you feel comfortable, and you are just thinking, come on, I have to do it right.
Sometimes you're so focused, you don't want any distractions.
Yes.
And some distractions can make you feel really off guard, and you're then really confused.
Yeah.
What I've done with speaking exams with students this year at Unab, I've tried to reassure them and say, it's okay, I was in your position once, just remember to breathe, just breathe.
Breathing, yeah.
Because some of them, you can see they're so tense, and they're just like...
Yeah.
I think that it's very important to feel like that it doesn't matter, it's not the end of the world, because I get that sometimes like a really important test like the one you just said, but it's still, it's like, okay, if for some reason you miss it, it's like
cool.
It's like, okay, it's sad and it's frustrating, of course, but still you can do it again. I mean, you're not going to die for that. It's not the end of the world. And I think that's really important, because sometimes when you are like feeling like, oh no, this is like my last chance or something like that, your mind kind of blanks out. I mean, like, and then you're like in front of the test, like, damn. So I think trying to be like relaxed.
My dad always used to say, so his parents used to take exams really seriously. So he used to work really, really hard for these exams, and when the exam would come, he'd like be ready on the day, and he'd be like to his mum, so my grandma, he'd be like, oh, are you nervous for me? And she'd be like, well, are you going off to war? And he'd be like, no, I'm doing an exam. It's like, so you're doing an exam, it's fine. You're like you said, it's like, it's not life or death.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't go well, it sucks. And I've had friends who've had to redo exams, but it's like just a part of life sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. It's part of life, and I think you can actually learn a lot from that. I mean, learn a lot from that failure.
Yeah, like you said, it's not the end of the world, and sometimes you can be so prepared, and for some whatever reason on the day the nerves just get to you and you just don't do as well. But it really doesn't matter. You have other exams to bring your grade up, or you can always try another day. And if anything, maybe, because it's like one step back but 2 steps forward, you know. Even if you're pushed back, you can rise up again and again and again, and it will probably make you a lot stronger.
And it's a very good thing that here at Unab we take care of the process too. It's not only the final exam, it's the process, you know, and along the process you can see how students are like growing, you know, and you can give them some advice, some tips in order to have them ready for the exam, right? So guys, it's time, right? So it was a pleasure to have you here. I hope we can see you next Monday, and I hope you can tell us about your next adventure, which is on the Costa Pacific. Okay, so I'm not going to mention anything else, so that it will be like a kind of a surprise for next week. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Have a good week and good luck with exams.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening.
Hey, are you listening to Unab on air right now? If not, what are you waiting for?
A new program has arrived on unabradio.com to live the English language.
Are you listening to Unab on air right now?
Unab on Air will bring you news, interviews, and the best music for your Thursday afternoon. Join us at unabradio.com and enjoy the Unab on Air experience. News, interviews, and the best music for your Thursday afternoon.